Coming up, real estate, AI, blockchain, and a surprise appearance from Bullet, the Aussie mix doggo. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Military Millionaire podcast. If you're new here, we have a Facebook group with over 64,000 members, a YouTube channel, and a mastermind group called The War Room. Today's guest is actually a member of The War Room, and the entire goal of this community is to help service members and veterans achieve financial freedom, but also to enjoy the ride along the way. So today's guest is Dean Gogg Valentini, and Dean is currently serving as an active duty Air Force flight test engineer officer with a background in computer and electrical engineering and digital forensics. I don't even know what that means, so we'll probably ask him on the show. Maybe not. Stay tuned all the way to find out. He began his journey to financial freedom in 2017 when he bought a house hack in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Since then, he's acquired 2 more house hacks in Denver, Colorado, 1 long-term and 1 short-term rental, a portfolio of small multifamily properties in Dayton, Ohio, owned and managed with his business partner, Rocky, who's a good friend, and also a War Room member. And he also earned his real estate license in Colorado, where he now helps others build generational wealth through real estate and house hack their way to the financial independence number as a member of the FI team, which is Craig Kirlop and that group out of Colorado. Pretty good group of people. He's an avid technologist, a health and fitness enthusiast. I can attest to that because I tried to keep up with him on a run the other day, and, well, I smoked him, but, we'll let him tell that story. He destroyed me, left me behind. In fact, it turned into a walk. But investor in stocks and crypto and a serial entrepreneur, having built several other businesses along the way. Above all, Gogg is passionate about sharing lessons learned from his journey with the goal of helping others also rapidly achieve financial freedom and reclaim their time, which is why we're going to talk about AI. And right after this, I'm excited to introduce you to Dean, the man, the myth, the legend. Also, it's probably worth noting on this that this is the first in-person episode ever recorded on matching Shure SM7B podcast microphones. So let me know what you think. And leave us a review. Otherwise, you hate people. Me too, but leave a review. 5 stars. Or not, but if it's not 5 stars, just don't waste your time. Dean, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, brother. What's going on, Dave?
I'm hanging out in the fucking man cave of Hugh is what we're doing. All right, so first question, we're going to dive into kind of current. I'm curious, AI or blockchain, which do you anticipate making a bigger change to the real estate market and why?
I love both of those. I'm definitely a blockchain bull, and I'm all about AI. But probably hot take, I think, honestly, blockchain, at least in the long term. So I see them both disrupting the space and making a lot of changes. AI, I think, is more just going to be efficiency and like making things easier and smoother with real estate. I don't think it's going to truly revolutionize the way we do anything. We're just going to be able to do more of it and more quickly.
Okay.
That's my kind of vision. Whereas blockchain, I actually see that changing fundamentally the way we do like a lot of real estate, even transaction level. Titles, record keeping, county records, all that stuff.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I that was actually kind of where I was wondering if you were going to go with it, because my thought is exactly that. Like blockchain potentially going to change the entire title industry, a lot of other things that it could potentially change, but then AI is just going to streamline property management and systems and processes and maybe even like RUBS for utilities and some other weird things. But I don't anticipate massive shift in how we do business.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as disruptive. I think it's just going to increase again, like efficiency, speed, and just the scale at which we can do things, especially things like research, market research. Man, already like I think Deal Machine has, I think it's called Alma. They have like an AI basically bot within their software. So that's helping a lot with just being able to really scale up and go more in depth, look at way more variables than a human ever could in terms of market research.
I like it. Okay, so backstory. We've shown a little bit of the nerdy side of Dean. How do we get to present day? Like, what got you into real estate? Give us a little bit of your journey.
Yeah, so I was born at the ripe young age of 0. So I started there.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, man, I grew up in upstate New York. Went the engineering route in school, so hence where a lot of the nerdy comes from. Computer engineering, electrical engineering, masters.
Still has a personality for now, though. So
that's
an terrible engineer.
Elaborate ruse, actually. I worked very hard on hiding that. So, but yeah, went to school from the engineering front. commissioned to the Air Force right after that, after grad school. I've been in for about 11 years now, and did continued engineering in the Air Force. I did flight test engineering there. Went to test pilot school as an engineer, as a flight test engineer. So again, just continued the nerdiness. Got to work on all sorts of cool airplanes, weapons, sensors, you name it, aircraft software, weapon software, all sorts of stuff. So then actually right after test pilot school, me and Rocky, you know Rocky well, we were just having some brown water one day, and we're talking about, man, I've been listening to a lot of bigger pockets recently. And he's like, yeah, me too. And I'm like, yeah, I've been starting to think about investing in real estate. And he's like, yeah, me too. And we're like, you want to buy some properties? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And then 2 months later, we had our first quadplex. So,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, Rocky's a good dude. He's
Yep.
in my squad within the war room.
Yep.
What caused you to go to Bigger Pockets?
That's a great question. I guess nothing. It was a little bit random the way I found it. I was interested in investing, interested in building wealth, and setting myself up for retirement, all that stuff, kind of the basics that I think get a lot of people into real estate, into that line of, that line of learning. But really what just got me started on podcasts in general, which is how I found it, was the, 45 hour drive each way to and from work at Edwards Air Force Base. So
That's a long drive.
Yeah, it was
a lot of podcasts.
Pretty miserable.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I like a commute. Like right now, I don't have a commute. I'm living at the same property that my office is in.
Yep.
And I miss like having a commute, but I would never want more than like 25 minutes.
Yeah, but you're right. It did let me listen to the first 300 Bigger Pockets episodes in like.
Oh, so you heard my episode?
Months. I did.
Where I was a rookie.
I did.
That was my first podcast ever.
That's how I discovered Dave.
Oh gosh, I hope not. It was terrible. Okay, so man, when you say you went down the I want financial freedom route, you went like full guru. You were like, real estate's cool, but Bitcoin, AI, Forex. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's right. I'll give you my wallet address later. Everybody
Perfect.
Send me money. I'll give you plenty of returns. Don't worry about it.
Just make sure you give me the key as well.
That's right.
That way,
that's right.
so if you lose it, in a laptop,
safekeeping,
totally. A landfill somewhere, I can hook you up. Okay, so you go out to buy the fourplex, and then you have more than just a fourplex now. So where do we go from there? What's your portfolio look like today?
Yeah, so that was our first fourplex up in Dayton. We got 2 more, so we have 3 fourplexes up there and a duplex. My personal first property actually was before I started listening to Bigger Pockets. So I was not even on I call it my accidental house hack, because I was not even on I didn't know what house hacking was. I didn't know what real estate investing was. I had no idea, no financial freedom dreams, nothing. But I was actually living with a buddy of mine in a room in his house and paying him rent. And I was like, well, shit, if I'm paying his mortgage, I could do that. So I have the VA loan. I can go do that. Yeah. So I went and bought one down there in Fort Walton Beach, just regular single family home, rented out a couple of rooms to a couple of buddies I worked with. And even then almost just paid almost the entire mortgage, not even really trying. So it was great. And then now that thing, because it was 2017, so now that thing's cash flowing like a big dog. Rent's $1,800 a month, and mortgage is still around $900 a month. So for a single family home, not too bad. It's just long-term rents, nothing crazy, nothing special. And then when I moved to Denver, I got a house hack out there a couple of years ago. Moved after about a year and a half, got my second house hack there. So then that's the extent of my portfolio right now.
That's awesome. And for the record, for anyone who's listening, house hacking is my absolute favorite way to get into real estate, especially with the VA loan. And the 2 main ways I tell people are like duplex, triplex, fourplex. You live in one unit, you rent the others, which is great. But for a young single officer, I don't think there's a better move than buying a really nice house in a really nice area where people are going to want to live forever. So it's going to go up in value. Mm-hmm. And you've got a 4 or 5 bedroom house that's gnarly. You could never afford to live there on your own or justify it, and you rent bedrooms to other single lieutenants and captains. And my buddy Rio did this, and he crushed it in San Diego County.
And even I know we're geared towards military here, but if you're a college student, if you're in a college town, if you have a group, if you have a community, a network, whether that's military or just your freaking yoga class, whatever, you have a tenant pool, a great tenant pool. So do something like that. And in Denver, I also prefer, I would have loved to have gotten a duplex or a quad, but just not feasible, and it wouldn't have cash flowed in Denver as a house hack, or even probably broken even. You can get, depending on where rates are at, you can get close, right? But for me, it just made the most sense to, I wanted to maximize my profits, so I got a single family home, like you said.
That's great. So decent portfolio, and you do a little bit of Airbnb now, right?
Yeah, my current house hack. So I live in the basement unit. It does have a walkout entrance, separate entrance. So it's, that's kind of my MO in Denver is find, there's a ton of these floor plans, but just find a home that either has a separate entrance into the basement, or most of the way these are laid out, you can very easily just add a door or two upstairs by the kitchen. And then the back door, the back entrance will usually go right down into the basement. So that's kind of your quote unquote private entrance for the downstairs unit. And then you build a duplex essentially. And then I throw kitchens in downstairs and that's it.
I love it. Yeah, that's a great strategy. Phenomenal. So, all right. So what are you pursuing now? Like what is your, within real estate and or business or AI or blockchain or whatever else that you're intrigued about, where are you putting your energy?
Yeah, you kind of alluded to it, but too much. So actually after BPCon this year, me and Rocky, we stayed an extra day and we had a little strategy session for the business. And, we said, A, we're doing too much. We need to focus. We need to cut out, 80-20 Pareto. Like we need to get rid of the stuff that is not going to be our main focus because it's distracting us and it's diluting our results, really. Yep. So, and I think that's probably good advice to everybody. I know we're guilty of it. I know you're guilty of it sometimes too. I've seen it firsthand. So I think we all are to an extent, right? So I think that's good advice for everybody is just like take a good hard look and say, hey, is this pursuing or not? Sorry, is this promoting or detracting from like my number one goal? And if it's not, maybe it's something you need to table or put on the shelf for later, or just cut out entirely. Yeah. Or offload it if you can, right? If you can delegate it or something, then maybe that.
Yeah, it's great feedback. I just recently I was working with my coach, Matt, and we were looking through like my quarterly goals. And my biggest quarterly goal is to grow the War Room to 300 members, double the price, right? And we're looking through everything. And he was just like, dude, like you've got write a book on here. I'm like, yeah, I've been working on it. He's like, stop. Well, he didn't say it like that, but he's like, is that going to help you achieve this goal? I was like, not like maybe in the long term, yes, but not at this quarter. And so I cut a bunch of chaff, almost enough that I was like, kind of like la 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 la. I don't have anything to do, but I'm like, oh no, gotta focus. Like if I really focus on this, like
I think people misinterpret like that they can kind of do it either way, and you're gonna get the same result, whether you're working on 5 things at once and it takes you a total of 5 months. Or whether you're working on one thing at once, it'll take me 1 month each, right? And I think that's a huge misconception because your focus is diluted, it's diverted, and you're not giving one thing all of your energy and all of your attention. So I think it ends up if you try to do 5 things at once, it ends up taking you 10 months instead. So
I think that's huge. If you actually before we go down that rabbit hole. What is the 20% that you guys settled on?
Yeah, sorry.
We didn't actually answer the original
your question. Man, I have a
that's a good rabbit hole though.
I have a career in politics, I guess. Just not even coming close to answering the question.
Thanks a lot. I won't name any names because they all do it.
Yeah, exactly. So for us, we've been saying for a while and been diving into it for a while. Acquisition entrepreneurship, or AKA buying businesses, right? So we've been saying that for a long time, and our focus just hasn't reflected it. But then after kind of our little strategy session, we said, all right, it's time to nut up or shut up. And we've been, past couple of months, we've been really digging into that. Yeah, we shut up and got to work. That's what we did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fine. Good way to spin that.
So that's what we really dove into. And that's, we're not writing off real estate. We're not done. But especially right now where commercial real estate is where it is, and that was kind of our next step that we were getting into, is scaling up into the larger multifamily and that stuff. We said, well, maybe now is a good time to kind of put that on the back burner, and the business buying really fits our primary goals right now a lot better anyway. So
yep, I like it. Yeah, I think the business game is very interesting. I'd love to dive into that at some point for sure. And depending on how you buy, you can always get real estate in the transaction. I mean, our friend Marty right now is under contract on an auto repair shop where he's buying all the real estate as well.
Yep.
So,
and that's we have a lot of criteria for our business acquisition side, and we have a desired and required list, and the buying real estate with a business is not required, but it's like just one step below that, because it's insanely beneficial if you're able to pull it off, especially with those SBA loans.
Yeah. I feel like I owe him some attentions. If you're just tuning in and you're watching the video and you didn't see all the other stuff go on, we realized that the room that we're recording in is all motion detectors, and we kept having to get up to, jump in front and tell the camera or the lights to turn back on. So we were like, what if we just
stopped the podcast, we went out, we adopted a dog, and then we brought him back.
Yeah, definitely wasn't a trained puppy that was in the house, and he's just wandering around to keep the lights on for us. So
I can call him my service dog now, I think, because he's providing a service.
He is providing a service. Yeah. You might as well bring him on an airplane. Make sure you don't buy
the service might be him unplugging our microphones.
I was going to say, I'm waiting on that. Don't buy him a seat, though. Just let him on the plane and be like, it's my service dog.
Yep.
He's sitting on my lap, like right next to whoever, hit him in the face with the tail. All right, so what got you into wanting to buy businesses? I guess we kind of covered that as far as like the reasons behind it, but like what was the spark?
Similar to Bigger Pockets, we kind of stumbled on it, and then just the more we learned about it, the more we dug into it, we're like, wow, this really fits again with our goals, our criteria for our investments at this stage where we're at. So I am going to be separating from the Air Force in about a month, so at the end of the year, and then Anthony's not far behind me. So we both need some form of kind of primary income stream in terms of active income. The real estate investments are great at this point, but as you know, the cash flow is, at least for the first couple of years, is not huge. So, and then the other benefits of just buying a business in general, the opportunity, there's supposedly the largest wealth transfer in at least our lifetimes coming up here, with boomers retiring and closing their businesses or selling their businesses. So there's just going to be a lot of inventory, and hopefully it'll be or is right now, a big buyer's market. And a lot of them are just, they don't know they can sell, or they don't think they can sell, or whatever. So they're just shutting their doors, and a lot of small businesses are closing, which is really not good, I think, for the country in general. So hopefully we can kind of do a little good as well as, make some money.
Yeah. Any specific type of businesses? Industries that you're looking for?
We're primarily focused on service industry or service businesses. Even more specifically would be home service businesses. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing, like desired service would be probably required. I'd say we wanted to get something in that realm. Home service would be great because it aligns well with real estate, especially like in the Denver area. I have my real estate license. I have a lot of connections in the real estate world. It would be nice to have something that aligns well with what we're doing and what we're familiar with.
Yeah, I like that. I think I've been looking at maybe buying a lawn care company or something that fits. I think for some reason the lawn care one is really interesting to me, but there's a lot of unique businesses in that world that help you kind of vertically scale. Yes. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like,
exactly.
Owning a landscaping company is not going to save me a fortune on my real estate. It'll save me a little bit of money, but it's also something that's scalable that I know, and it will help me with some of my properties, and it would also provide me services for, like, for example, there's a house in my neighborhood where the grass, like, it's in probate, and I've been talking to the owner about buying it, but the grass keeps growing up high enough that the city hits on it, and then the city comes through and mows, and the city charges it's $250 the first time the city mows, and then $500 a pop after that.
Yep.
So I'm like, I'll mow your yard every 2 weeks and keep the city off your back if you give me first right of refusal on this when it comes time to sell, which is, kind of the angle that I would probably try to work with that with. Yep. So I love it.
Yeah, we've looked at a handful of landscaping companies, and actually I like not just the, neighbor's kid cut your lawn type landscaping companies, but the actual, landscape design. You're talking either xeriscaping, putting in like fancy rock gardens, and like actual landscaping, not just mowing grass.
Yeah.
Those, I think, at least from the ones we've looked at, have been very successful. They're in very high demand. They're kind of a write your own ticket, like they're turning away customers kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's still the biggest hurdle, I'll say, for what all the ones we've looked at so far is the labor side. That's one of the most complicated problems. Everything else is pretty just cut and dry, like logical for the most part. But labor is really, I think, in a lot of cases, either finding and or retaining skilled labor or unskilled labor, paying them the right amount, keeping them happy, HR, interpersonal stuff. In a lot of businesses, you'll see it's very family heavy. So, maybe the entire staff is family of some sort. That's a huge red flag, at least to us, because, when they sell,
loyalty.
chances are you just lost your entire staff and probably a lot of that tribal knowledge that came with it.
Well, I can tell you as somebody who bought a hotel with 7 employees and then fired or lost all 7 within like 2 months and rehired, and then had to do an entire regime change a second time. Losing all your staff is real fun. Yeah, great.
Yeah,
news, yeah.
yep,
Ask
exactly.
Q for more details on that, because he was the one boots on the ground at the time while I still lived in California, and I think it was some of his fondest memories. That's why he wants to sell as fast as humanly possible.
Oh, I've heard. Yeah, I've heard him tell that.
It's like, oh my god.
Yep.
But we've got it, operating now. So like the right people in the seats is great. But yeah, I think that's huge. So in that, employees are. I'm gonna say this in a way that's gonna come off the wrong way, but
we're in a safe space.
very important. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Like it's very important to have the right employees, because they make or break. And I lost my train of thought. No, I'm just kidding. Employees. So the whole point there being, like, if you hire the wrong employees, or you have the wrong employees, or you train the wrong employees, like I know a lot of business owners who employees are like the bane of their existence. And it's not because people, it's because like finding good people is not as easy as you think. I mean, I hired the wrong assistant. I hired the wrong virtual assistant. I hired the wrong COO. He was good for what I needed him for, but it wasn't the right, like, long-term play. He's still a friend. Good dude. And then I've got a good assistant now. So far. But it's taken a lot of iterations.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as I thought it would be. And the night and day difference between an assistant and an assistant is, it's crazy. So with that being said, with your statement on the staff and employees and family driven and stuff, and your love of tech, I'm curious, like, I'd imagine you're probably looking for businesses that you can tweak with AI and whatever.
That's a huge one. Yep.
Yeah. So with technology evolving rapidly, and I'm going to grab this and I'll mess this up. I did write down questions. I don't always do that, but I do. I'm getting better. Evolving. Where do you see the biggest impact of AI and blockchain in the real estate sector? Like, I know we talked briefly about it, but like, what kind of businesses are you like super bullish on in that regard?
Oh man. So I think I see that question having 2 parts or 2 answers, I guess. So the biggest place we can add value, and you spot on, like we are definitely emphasizing companies where we think we can use our unfair advantage, which is, again, we're both engineers, we're both very technically inclined. And we've learned a little bit about like the more of the marketing and sales side, which is not something that comes naturally to us. So we've had to research that a little bit. But with that knowledge in conjunction with all the stuff we know about on the technology and automation side, we think we can really, again, make that like an unfair kind of asymmetric advantage that we have that we can implement. So we are looking for opportunities to do that. And I mean, I'll give a very, very simple example. One example is just, any sort of record keeping that's still done on paper. Anybody who's familiar with business buying has probably heard Cody Sanchez say, like, I look for fax machines because that means they're antiquated and they're not up to date on their technology. Same thing. Like any sort of record keeping, if they don't have a CRM, if they don't have any sort of client outreach or anything engagement like that, that's just, some people might see that as a red flag. We see it as like a great opportunity, because if their business is already doing well with those old or lacking systems in place, then the moment we come in and start to improve that stuff, it's in theory going to skyrocket, going to go gangbusters. So
I like that, like fax machines and a lot of the older signals, like no CRM. I'm totally writing that down, because that's a really good point as far as like a super simple way to both to see if they're like your target audience, but I can tell you, I ran my platform. I didn't know that, when I was building a blog and whatever, that this was going to become a brand or a business or whatever. I didn't really have any intentions behind it. And as it grew and I got to a place where I was actually making revenue from it, I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. And then I was actually about this time last year, I was looking for a new email provider, because I was like, MailChimp is just not cutting it for what I want to do. I was like, I should be able to do all these things, and it would make my life easier. And someone turned me on to Go High Level. And so Go High Level is I know you use it now.
Yeah,
but
we use it as well.
All in one, and it's the CRM integrated. It's great. And I will tell you that I have, I guess basically doubled my revenue in the last year,
right,
off of having the CRM. And it's not even fully where I want it to be. Like it's still improving, and so it's only going to continue. And I'm not even running ads yet. So yeah, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, it's just some of the things that are other things that are really easy to spot. Go look at their website. Do they have a website? A lot of these businesses don't have websites,
Right, some of this stuff.
or they're garbage, and they don't have their. People laugh, or like I'm sure half the people are going to think I'm full of crap right now, but I'm serious. Like you go on the company's website, they don't have their phone number on the website. There's no way to contact them on their website, and I've not once. Like we've seen this multiple times as we're reviewing businesses, and we're like, guys. How do they're not on Google. They don't have a Google My Business page, or they do, and they have 1 star from 2 reviews, 2 stars, 1 or 3 years ago, whatever. They don't have, like we said, they don't have a CRM, or if they do, they don't have an email list, or if they do, they're not sending follow-ups, they're not sending like recurring, they're not sending review requests, they're not doing any of the stuff that's all like basic, what I would call very basic marketing, and getting that, like you said, that recurring revenue, that reoccurring revenue. Like both of those things are going to, like you said, you saw yours double. Like they're gonna skyrocket if you're just doing the basics. So those are some of the red flags that quote unquote red flags for the business. If I was like consulting for them,
Yeah.
But if we're gonna buy them, I think it's a green flag because if they're profitable now, if they're doing well now, just imagine what's going to happen when we start to put some of these things into practice.
No, absolutely, yeah. And Google Business is huge. People so much underestimate the value of that, and they're like, oh yeah, cool, whatever. It is, if you understand it, such an easy avenue to fix and change. And such a massive value add as far as if you rank on Google. Like if I type in food near me and you're the first restaurant that comes up, there's a really good chance that I'm gonna end up at your place.
Right. And that's, so I don't remember the statistics off the top of my head, but it's like, I think it's very high. Like it's something like 80% of consumers will trust a Google review as much as like a referral from your friend. There's a lot of stuff like that, and this goes for like missed calls as well. So if you call a business, and this is part of where we'll tie it all back with AI, but like this is part of where some of the AI and automation or just a good marketing setup comes in. Is if you miss a call, like again, 70+% of the people who don't talk to somebody on their first call are going to then just go right down the list to their second person, and their chances are they're not going to buy from you if you don't immediately return their call in some way, shape, or form, which could even be by a text message. So there's stuff, Go High Level has this, but like missed call, text back. So if you miss a call, it'll automatically send a text that says, hey, sorry, we're on the other line. Sorry, we missed you. What can we help you with? And starts like an AI conversation with them, and then routes them to either a salesperson, scheduling, whatever.
Which is solid. I'm definitely a fan of all the above. And I love, so here's another one for you. And we've kind of talked about this, and I'm not going to out myself here, but screw it, I will. But like pay and invoice collections, like the way that they're taking pay, and whether it's automated, like recurring, great. But like the prime example, I mentioned lawn care. I think I've mentioned on the show before, but I have a landscaping company that has been mowing the yard at my house since I bought it in July of 21, and $40 a week. That's 2.25 years. I've not paid them once, and I've tried. I've given up on trying, but I've tried. And so when I first met the guy, I flagged him down the street. He was at the neighbor's house. I'm like, hey, can you mow mine? He's like, yeah. I'm like, what does it cost? 40. Okay, cool. Got everything set up. I'm like, cool. Where do I need to plug in my info to pay you? He's like, oh, just write it on this pad. And he had like a flip up like notepad thing that just had emails and stuff scribbled on it. And so I scribbled my email on it, and then he emails me an invoice with no address to send a check to, no link to click on, and no contact info. I don't have any idea what this company's name is, what the contact info is, because at this point, the first like 3 months to 6 months, I would go out and I would find the guys who were like, they'd come in to mow every Wednesday, and I'd be like, hey, I need to pay. And they're like, oh, well, you got to talk to the boss. Okay, great. Oh yeah, we'll have him call you. Oh, okay, great. Like, I guess he doesn't want people to have, okay, cool, get it. After like 6 months, I just gave up. I'm like, I've never seen this dude. They don't email me. If they do email me, the invoice is unpayable. There's no contact info. And at this point, I'm like, look, if they want their money, they'll get it. I probably owe these guys $2,000 or $3,000 now.
I've had the exact same thing happen, and that just shows again how common this is. And I'm sure, presumably, that business is at least still profitable. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't still be in business, at least not for very long. So if they're making mistakes like that and they're still profitable, again, imagine what would happen if you just fixed very simple stuff.
Yeah, you go in and you say, hey, everybody's on Stripe, auto payments. You have to cancel your subscription.
Or even just track it. Because then they would realize, oh, crap, Dave hasn't paid us in 2 years. So
Yeah.
even tracking it, and then
One day
the
I'm gonna
follow-up
get a bill
system's
for
even
like
better.
10 grand, and I'm gonna be like,
Yep.
I'm gonna put a lien on my house.
Yep.
And be like, can you prove that I owe you any money? Can you take the lien off, please? I mean, I'll pay them. I'd rather pay them $40 a week than
Yeah.
$10,000 a decade. But I mean, if it's gonna have to come out like that, it's gonna have to come out like that.
That's right.
So that's a great point. All right, so have you? This is just a fun one. Have you dabbled in any virtual real estate?
I own some Sandbox.
Okay.
How's
that work? Like, how does
I don't mess
buying
with
a Sandbox work?
Oh, it's just like buying any of their crypto. You buy it on a crypto exchange. So I don't remember. I probably bought that on Coinbase, honestly. I haven't.
Oh, so you didn't even play like the virtual game?
No. So that's why I say I didn't buy any actual virtual land. I just own some Sandbox tokens essentially. So more of an investment than like buying virtual
Worst
real estate.
virtual real estate investor ever.
Good thing I'm not a virtual real estate agent. Just a real one. But no, I was going to mention that earlier. Actually, I think that is one of the ways. And I didn't answer your question earlier about how do you see AI and blockchain revolutionizing some of this stuff. I think on the blockchain front, and this really, it doesn't have to be blockchain, but I think it can be integrated as well. Is you've seen the 3D tours, right? For what's the big one? Matterport.
Yeah.
So Matterport has their 3D camera, and you can do the 3D tours. They're on Zillow. Every other house has them now. Where I think we're going is like there's going to be a VR Zillow, right? You put on your VR goggles, and now you're actually literally walking through the home, and it's not just the still pictures and like the little click to advance tour.
That's cool.
It's gonna be, you're gonna be, and I think I heard a rumor that like Compass is already kind of going down that road. So I don't think it'll be long before we start to see stuff like that, where you go, maybe there's like maybe you go into a brokerage and then they have a VR goggle set up, so not every home buyer has to have their own set. I do, and it's awesome, and I love VR games. They're a ton of fun, but most people don't have their own, right? So you go into some central location like a brokerage, throw the goggles on, and they'll say, all right, what home do you want to see? Plug it in, pull it up, and now you're just walking around. And that's a much more representative feel than looking at pictures on a computer screen anyway. So I think, and that's, we can do that now. Like that has nothing to do with blockchain necessarily. But again, I think the way I see blockchain is like, there's not a lot we can't do now without it, but it's just going to make everything more efficient and better at doing a lot of things, like, again, record keeping, like especially immutable records. So you talk about property inspections, title, like you said, like that's a big one. Once it's in there, once it's recorded, you can never go back and change it. So that takes away all these fancy title searches and stuff, and these lawyers that get involved and try to track down the history of a property. It's like, no, just look back on the blockchain. It's there forever. You can't change it. Once it's entered, it's entered. So,
yeah, no, that makes sense. That's okay. So, I'm kind of bummed that you didn't. I bought. Is it Upworld? I can't remember the name of the platform that I was buying on. It's got like a llama as the.
Oh, I don't know. Sandbox and Decentraland were the two like big ones.
Oh, Decentraland. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry. I don't know why I think it up. Anyway, and you I own like probably $2,000 worth of real estate in there.
Yeah.
Because I was screwing around on it, and then it was going up, and I like sold some properties on it, and like it was kind of fun. I mean, I completely stopped messing with it. My buddy Dave got pretty into it, and he owned a lot of stuff.
They're way down. I mean, with the rest of crypto right now, they're way down. So now might be a good time. Hashtag not financial advice, but like if you're thinking about it, it might not be a bad time to YOLO some money in there.
To the moon.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, but yeah, have you seen how much some of the larger companies like Adidas and stuff, like they own massive chunks of the Sandbox universe?
Interesting. Yeah. I did not know that.
There's a map. You can just pull up a map online, Google I don't know, Sandbox company shares or like whatever land, and you'll see there's a map with like the Adidas logo, and they own like this much, and then there's a, I don't know, whatever, First Form owns like this little chunk, and like, yeah, so it's pretty cool.
I wonder, it's an interesting, it's a game, but there's something to it.
Well, and they know it's advertising dollars, right? Attention is the new, as Hormozy says, like attention is the new resource that everybody wants to capture.
That's valid. Everybody's like, ooh, Adidas.
Yeah. So if you're in Sandbox and you're doing your Minecraft crap, and you're like, oh look, there's a billboard for Adidas. Like, product placement.
Interesting.
So they know. They're no dummies, right?
That's
it's just
clever.
advertising.
I didn't think about it in that regard.
in a different medium. So.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, glad we dug into that. All right. Some critics argue that technologies like AI and blockchain could lead to a further divide between the rich and the poor in real estate. What do you think?
Further divide between the rich and the poor.
I guess help the rich get richer.
I got you.
Let me reword it a third time, just in case.
I appreciate it. I'm a little slow. I don't know if
I know
you
how
noticed.
you Air Force guys are.
Yeah,
especially
officers. Yeah, we need you.
Engineers, so dumb.
Yeah, we need you to kind of handhold us a little bit.
Let me get some crayons.
Yep. Oh, you hungry?
Yeah.
I would say I think there's the potential for that in anything. Like, people make that argument about everything, and on some extents they're not wrong. So like interest rates going up, yeah, who's going to profit off of that? People who are already well established and already have a lot of money and assets and resources. So yeah, I mean, there's the potential for that for sure. But I also I prefer, and maybe this is like rose-colored glasses, but I think it's at least fairly objective, is I prefer to look at it as like almost any other technology we've seen in history.
Yeah.
So the more we democratize access to stuff and make it accessible to everyone. So, we used to have priests that they were the only ones who could read the Bible and like read books and whatever. And then like the commoners, they don't need to read. They don't even know how to read and write. And then once we actually started educating folks, everybody benefited. Like, it advanced us technologically, it advanced us just in, I think, general civility and like civilization at large. Got better quality of life. So I think that's the case for everything. And with AI, that's one of my favorite things about it, and about ChatGPT in general, is it's like you had like kind of the elite class. I don't know if anybody's ever referred to like programmers as elite before, but like you had the elite class of like programmers, and they're the ones who had to go in there and code and actually develop AI. So big corporations who could pay for that had it, and then people who were software engineers or coders could do that, and nobody else could use it. Now you talk to it like a human. That's my favorite thing about it. They are literally democratizing artificial intelligence to where you and I can go type in, hey, help me with this, problem, or please help me research this real estate market. And it'll spit out an answer in plain English that we can understand.
Yeah. Yeah, or my friend Manoj, who was he spoke to the War Room not too long ago.
Yeah.
Has been programming AI stuff for over a decade, maybe 20 years even, maybe even longer than that. I don't know. I mean, it's been a minute, and he's a whiz kid. But even that was what he was saying, is like, I love that it's it's easy to use now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes for an interesting piece, and I also think it depends on how you look at it, scarcity or abundance, right? Like, is it going to create a divide between the masses? Maybe. Is it going to offer a ton of opportunities to poor to get rich? Yeah, exactly. I think so.
Exactly.
And so people are looking at it as a, it's going to replace jobs at McDonald's or whatever. Okay, yeah, you're right. It absolutely is. So now that you don't have that job, take the tech, find a way to make other people's lives easier, and you'll make a lot more money than you were at McDonald's anyway.
Right.
And I don't think those opportunities are going to, if people think of it as like, oh, jobs are going away. No, I think jobs are multiplying. And
they're changing.
Solopreneur stuff.
Yeah, and they're changing, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, another hot take, like I probably won't win any popularity contest with this one, but like minimum wage jobs are not supposed to be a living wage.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm like #sorry not sorry, but what value are you adding to society by flipping burgers? And it's not just McDonald's, but like that type of thing. I just think it's going to essentially bring up the bottom line and elevate everybody. So yeah, like I could live without McDonald's. If every McDonald's worker quit tomorrow, I mean, I don't go to McDonald's to begin with, but like nobody would die, right? There's other better food out there. It's not going to end society as we know it.
Yeah.
But, if all the, not to toot my own horn, but like if all the engineers quit tomorrow, like shit would stop working real quick. Air traffic controllers, right? Like I like to go fly to California, whatever. It'd be real hard to do that if all your pilots, your ATC left, and even your mechanics and stuff. Like your planes would stop working very quickly. So
yeah, I agree.
That I think replacing, like you said, freeing up those people's time to now they have a choice. Do I sit on my couch and eat popcorn and get my, universal basic income, or do I learn something new and learn how to get myself higher earning power with a new skill or a new trade or something else that's going to provide some benefit? So yeah, it's very much victim mentality versus like abundance mentality, and like go do it, go get it.
Yeah, I love that. All right, so what are some ways that you're currently using AI in your business
Honestly,
or life, I guess?
yeah, honestly, content is one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to leverage it as much as possible for even just that creative spark, because I'm not a very creative person, and it's hard for me sometimes to come up with ideas or figure out like, hey, what do people want to know about or want to learn about or hear about? What's interesting, what's useful to people. So that's a big one, and it seems silly. It's like that's kind of a tangential thing, but part of our goals, one of our main goals, is to help educate others. So that's why that's one of the more important things that we spend time on, and it's also one of the most time-consuming things I spend time on. So that's why I chose to use that as one of the things I pour some focus in on the AI front and learn how to get my time back with that. Other than that, I'll say just general organization. So like scheduling, and that's one of the things I was going to say with businesses is that's another huge AI advantage is automating and or optimizing your scheduling. So if you have, that's one of the things that AI is really good at is finding patterns and optimization. So if you have all these customer schedules that you want to bring in, plug it all into the system and it'll spit out and addresses, service appointments, whatever. Okay, your technician should go follow this path for the most optimal route, save them the most time, and get everybody taken care of on the proper schedule. So stuff like that. With optimizing my personal calendar. There's a lot of cool tools out there that are essentially AI assistants that will take care of your inbox. Is a big one. I know mine is often very cluttered, so it can start to detect, and there's a little bit of training is not the technically accurate word, but it makes the most sense. So there's a little bit of training that goes into this where you tell it, hey, like I don't care about this email, so anytime it sees that email, it's going to put it in a folder or throw it out or whatever you want it to do with it. It could auto draft replies to folks. If it detects recurring emails, it knows what to do with them if you do the same thing with them each time. And that's a borderline between like AI and automation, but same vein in terms of just making it more efficient
We'll
for
have
you.
to talk more offline about that
Yeah,
one because my assistant's awesome, but if I could shave her time down on emails, then that's more stuff she can help me with.
100%.
So I would love her to be able to dig more into the AI space. So I need to connect. You've met, but I need to have you guys talk at some point. And
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
She's super organized, so that'd be awesome. Speaking of Dave Bot. Is this where we pull out Dave Bot?
We can pull out Dave Bot.
So yesterday he made essentially a deep fake of me, and I have not seen it yet. So we're gonna rock and roll. By the way, in the back corner over there is this gentleman named Hugh Carnahan who
making a lot of noise is what he's doing.
Well, I wasn't gonna say that. I was gonna say, Hugh, you didn't warn us that these were motion detector lights. So we kept having to
that's why
jump,
Bullet's down
and then
here.
we were like, go get the dog.
He's our 2-second lean solution to fixing the motion lights.
We're like, Bullet, come here, and they go back on.
Yep.
So
all right, yeah. So like Dave said, I was kind of just messing around, and I half wanted something interesting for the podcast, and I half wanted to just play with this and see how it works.
I'd want to play with Dave too.
Yeah, we all.
He's pretty cool.
And
everybody
you know
wants to play with
we
Dave.
We can make this public, and everybody can play with Dave.
Shit. Yeah, I don't want to know what I would say if everybody.
All right, so you load it up. It can give you a prompt, so it's saying, "Hey, what's your name?" Okay, put your name in, and then it's just going to ask you. It's very simple, and the way I built this is just pulling in publicly available information. So what I did is I went onto YouTube. I found a couple dozen of your videos, and there's now on YouTube it's really easy. You used to have to like run this through another piece of software and get the transcript out, but now they're right on YouTube. So you just click show transcript, copy paste all the text, throw it in some text documents, upload it all, and that's what it's, again, training is not the technically precise word, but it's basically trained on your videos and your content.
What's that Pornhub tab?
Oh yeah, don't worry about that little guy. So what's your question for Dave Bot? We'll start off easy because this thing's not like the most sophisticated. I did build it in about 30 minutes yesterday, so keep that in mind.
What is your favorite finance tip?
All right. He's thinking,
how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? That's my next question.
this is about the response rate of normal Dave, so it's accurate so far. Boom. All right. Let's see. Then let me know how.
Read it in your best Dave voice.
Ooh, I don't think you want me to do that.
You can only lisp so hard.
Let me know how accurate this is, or what your answer would have been, or if it's at least close, right? Okay, here's my favorite finance tip. Max out your TSP contributions every year. The TSP is an incredible retirement savings vehicle with super low fees. By consistently maxing it out over your military career, you can build up a sizable nest egg for retirement. Make sure you're invested appropriately for your age and risk tolerance as well. The life cycle funds are simple, set it and forget it approach if you don't want to manage your allocations manually. But the key is to start contributing as much as you can afford as early as possible. The power of compound interest over time is immense. If you're making your TSP a priority throughout your service, you'll be setting yourself up for a comfortable retirement.
Yeah, I think that's, I would say, step one. That is the very first chapter of my book is about, well, after the intro chapter is about the TSP in chronological order.
I didn't even upload your book. You could, though.
I don't know that I would say that's the most important, but I would say that's a super great way to set your foundation and then go from there. I would say, like, put as much as you can reasonably into your TSP and then go house hack. Yeah, I think that's huge. Yep. That's cool. Immense.
All
right. So
yeah, and it's like a fun little, you can recreate, any celebrity you want, you can kind of recreate them. So I've seen this done with like Gary Vee. I was going to make a Brandon bot, mess around with that. So,
all right. So you are currently transitioning. And I'm going to just leave that with no context.
I was going to say, can we clarify out of the military and not to another gender?
What pronouns did you choose?
Not BDE like you.
Touche. What's next after the military? And transitioning out of the military, in case you didn't put that together.
Yeah. More of the same, man. Just being able to focus on the businesses, focus on more of the stuff not to say I didn't enjoy my time in the military. I did some really cool and really fun stuff and did feel like I contributed and
you pulled 9 Gs,
made a difference. I did pull at least 9 whole Gs, yeah. But getting into that different stage now and focusing more on like the real estate again, educating folks and helping folks get closer to and achieving financial freedom. So we're going to focus on the business buying. Like that's really what we're doubling down on. We were trying, full disclosure, we were trying to have trying to be closed on a business by the end of this calendar year. At this stage, probably not going to happen because, like I said, our focus was diluted a little bit for a little while. So, we have made awesome progress and learned a ton along the way. But I think we're not as focused and singularly focused as we needed to be to make that happen, which we probably could have if we had our come to Jesus moment earlier, to be honest. But so continuing down that road. Enjoying the semi-retired life and yeah.
Right on. And now, a shameless plug from our sponsor. Insert some kind of catchy music. What's been your experience with the War Room?
Oh man, the War Room.
That's right. He's now our sponsor because he didn't know that he was going to be pitching this.
The War Room's the worst. I've got to say. No,
Perfect.
Just kidding.
And cut.
Yeah.
Delete the entire.
Delete the episode. Never airing. Trash. Lost episode. No, man. I love the War Room. Like
I wouldn't have asked you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, know your audience. It's been an amazing community. Like I've actually, it's the only mastermind I've been in so far. I was
best mastermind.
The number one of one.
That's what he meant to say.
Right. But
we'll work on his subtle sales pitch.
Hey, listen, we're getting there. Listen.
Dave Bot would have clarified.
I have never had like a strong pull towards that sort of environment before. So I was a little skeptical. I was like, whatever, masterminds, whatever. And it's definitely changed my view on that for sure.
Good.
So the sense of community, the resources, the motivation, the big strapping lads. It's been.
There are
amazing.
women too.
There are. Yeah, I met at least one. May have been a dude in a wig.
There's a surprising ratio. Surprising ratio when you think that it is all service members or vets, right? So the population of the military that is service members or vets that is females is, I don't remember, like 6%. It might be higher now, but it's less than 12%.
Yeah.
And then you factor that, and you look at my demographics everywhere, and they're 75% male or worse, or higher male, right? 75, 80, 85 on, I think, one of the platforms. I'm not going to speculate which one. I don't remember. Well, then you factor how many females are in just the real estate space. And now the mastermind is not solely for real estate. It's kind of whole purpose, whatever, but it does skew towards real estate a lot. So when you figure females in real estate that are service members and veterans, you would think it'd be a pretty small number, but it's over, or it's 10% plus of the group, if not closer to 15.
Yeah.
So it's it's pretty good.
And frankly,
they're crushing it.
I was gonna say, frankly, they're some of the more active and or successful folks in the group.
I would say the best underwriter in the group is Hema. So,
wow, Dave, I'm right here.
Yeah, she doesn't use AI to do the same thing.
I don't either. Come on.
I've never seen you underwrite a deal.
I know.
Not a multifamily.
I'm giving you a hard time.
I know. Not hard enough.
Heyo. That's later, once you start drinking.
The editor, you feel free to take that out if you feel so inclined. No, you don't have to take that shit out. Who cares?
But, so, what were we saying? War Room.
Yeah, you were talking about how amazing it is, and if they don't join right now, they're going to miss out, because if it goes to 300 members, prices are going to double, and we're at 250, 251 today.
But yeah, the accountability is honestly one of the biggest things for me. So the squad calls are like, clutch for that.
Yeah, every time I show up, which is almost never.
I was going to say, admittedly, I haven't been making as many as I should be, but it is, accountability does work magic. And if you guys even have an accountability partner, that's a big step. But like having that group and having that structure of the squads, and that like just camaraderie and the commonality of the military folks, like being not letting your squad mates down is like a big, I think driver for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's huge. All right, so we're going to roll into the debrief, which I have yet to come up with like a cool sound effect for or anything. I don't know. I have a song.
That might be it.
No, that will never, ever, ever be it. That was. I hope these mics picked that up. I'm sure they did.
I bet they filtered most of it out. These are pretty good.
So bad. Yeah, you're right. These things only let bullshit through, and he was true. So all right. So first thing I do. Question 1, I pull something from the Facebook group, usually related to our conversation. Or that was the idea when I created this segment. And I haven't changed what that first question is going to be, because I can't ever find a good fucking question in the Facebook group that fits what we're talking about. So
you need to put it out ahead of time.
Your question, I'm not that organized. I know. I need someone else to do all of everything for me. And we're getting there. Amanda's going to start taking all that over. She doesn't know it yet. She'll learn. She's going to learn today. So the question I found, this relates to your life currently. And it was a really, really in-depth question. You're going to be super stoked about this. The question is, what is SkillBridge? ?
SkillBridge is the greatest boondoggle known to man. No, it's an awesome program. It really is. SkillBridge is a great program. It allows transitioning, giggity, service members to essentially intern for free at a company. So like I'm working for Serenity Stays right now, our good friend Charlie, short-term rental property management company. So in theory, you find something in the industry you want to go into, intern with them, and it's up to 6 months. Most of them are not that long anymore. I think they're kind of trying to cut that down, but up to 6 months at the end of your service. And you still get paid. You're still on active duty and everything. So you're still getting paid by the military, but they essentially let you go work for this company for up to full time for up to 6 months. And the company gets a good deal because they get free labor. And you get a good deal because you get to learn, get embedded, learn a new skill, and potentially make some networking and inroads into the industry you want to move into. And you're not just hitting the job market cold with no real world experience, especially for those who've been in for 20 years. It's their only job they've ever known.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think SkillBridge is a phenomenal program. I did it on my way out. So while that question itself was kind of like, it was fitting, right?
Yeah.
So SkillBridge is phenomenal. You should check it out. And Charlie is a great human. He's for those of you who know about the Military to Agent Facebook group, where we're helping service members and vets learn how to get their license for free. That's a Charlie beast that he's helped me put together. Yep. So I don't do enough. He'd probably tell you he's probably like, that Dave guy. Yeah, well, that Dave guy was pretty upfront. I'm not gonna be able to spend a whole lot of time on this. And I was right. No, it's good. So, question 2. What is the dumbest thing you've ever purchased?
Getting a little deep with this one.
Good.
Alcohol.
Oh.
So not a singular purchase, obviously, but
could be.
I just purchased one.
He bought the
giant
bottle
jug of alcohol.
King Louis the 14th or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like $12,000 that is just sits at bars and they never drink it.
Yeah. No, man, just alcohol in general. Like, we were talking earlier about stop doing the things that don't move you closer to your goals. That's a big one. Like there is no advantage to drinking.
What if?
And I'm not like an anti-alcohol person.
I was
Like
gonna say-
I've drank for
I
years.
I definitely
right?
bought you alcohol last
Yeah,
night.
you're right. We were having some beers the other
A
night.
fishbowl, a Jaeger bomb,
Yep. So
some beer skis,
you
some
know,
homebrew.
not trying to be a hypocrite or like get up on a high horse, but it's just looking at it objectively, and it can be fun, right? We can all have a good time with it, but man, just trying to look at it from a purely emotionless, objective standpoint. It's like, what does it do for you in terms of moving you closer to your goals? So,
No, I like that answer. So I recently dropped a total satire video that was like the best top 5 investment service members make, and it counted down as tobacco, alcohol, tattoos, marrying strippers, and Mustang Camaro at 25% interest.
Yep.
The last 3 people I've asked this question to have picked something off that list without knowing that was the list. So
there you go.
I feel good about my choice.
Spot on.
The one thing that I should have added. I just dropped like someone gave me
caffeine.
Yeah, that was it.
We were talking about it yesterday.
Caffeine. Okay, so what about the smartest thing you've ever purchased?
Ooh. War Room membership.
Oh,
Shameless plug.
And that's the end of the episode.
Drop
Thank
the
you.
mic.
Yeah,
not these because they're expensive. Yeah. But yeah, no, just any sort of investment in yourself, I think, is like is a little cliche, but like one of the best ways you can possibly spend money.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's great. All right, so moving. Name a book, a podcast, or a resource that made you into either a better leader or investor.
Better leader. I feel like people pick the investor one probably more often, so I'm going to go the leadership route.
It's because everybody sucks as a leader.
What? Well, I
mean, everybody's an
agree.
amazing leader.
I agree.
So
It's tough. It's tough. It's not, it's not something that a lot of people think like, oh, leadership, you're born with it, right? No.
Totally.
Yeah. It's just total innate.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that's why I'm so organized.
I would say, and it's definitely something I've had to work on very hard, and I'm still not very good at it, to be honest, but we're trying. Extreme ownership. That's been life-changing, honestly.
Yeah.
And in many ways, but leadership is a big one.
Yeah, I think that's really, really solid. Like when you've got an issue, like recognizing like the reason my assistant messed this up is because I either did not train them correctly, did not hold them accountable, or just never gave them guidance on what I expected.
Yeah. It may not, like and a lot of people, and I was this way too when I first started kind of learning about or hearing about or reading that philosophy, is I was like very much, oh, well, you can't control everything. Like you can only control yourself, kind of, very stoic type attitude, which is true to an extent. But then my favorite like tweak or saying on that is it may not be your fault, but it is your problem.
Yeah, it's your responsibility.
It's your responsibility. So even if it's not truly your fault, like everybody, oh, everything's your fault, everything's your fault. It's like, well, no, not necessarily, but still you can do something about it. So do something about it.
Yeah, it's even like to that point, right? Like going through a divorce or breakup or something like that. It's like, or obviously there are aspects of this that are my fault or whoever's fault, right? It's never completely one-sided, or at least it's usually not completely one-sided. But in that, it's like, I went through this terrible thing, woe is me, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened to me, blah, blah, blah. Like, even if all that's true, like even if the other person did a million terrible things to you and it was an abusive relationship, it was terrible, and then they left you and like whatever, none of that focus serves you.
Yeah.
What serves you is the focus of like, what can I do to avoid that next time?
That's the best part. Like that's the victim mentality that we were talking about earlier. Yeah, okay, great. You lost your job, you got fired, you got replaced by AI, whatever. Cool. What are you going to do about it?
Now what?
Like that's all that matters moving forward, because you can't change what happened in the past, but you can change what happens going forward based on how you react to it.
I love it. Yeah. Okay. Someone's listening to the show and they want to make or save more money. Instead of getting done with the show and consuming another podcast episode or book or whatever, what should they do? What should their next action
love it.
be?
Yeah, take action. That's too many people, I think, and myself included. I've been very guilty of this. Go to conferences, go to podcasts, sit around, consume, and don't ever put anything into action. So what's that? Oh, man, what's that saying? I'm going to butcher it, but about how do you know when you've learned something?
When you can teach it?
Close. When your behavior changes.
Okay.
If your behavior doesn't change, you haven't learned anything because if you're not actually doing anything differently.
So it's like me with Profit First, where I keep moving the stuff into the account, then moving it back out.
Yeah,
'cause I
right,
need
right.
it.
Well, you did it. You moved it in. It's there. You met the intent.
The Profit First expert in the corner over there is smirking because he does it. He's way more consistent than I am.
We try to be.
Currently, there's money in the profit account and the tax account, whether it makes it to the end of the month or not. I also paid myself a salary for the first month ever. High five. Nobody cares. Nobody asked.
But to answer your question, what action? It depends. Standard engineer answer on your goals. But I'd say for most people, the vast majority of people, housing is your number one largest expense. Go house hack. Even if it doesn't cash flow, even if you're still coming out of pocket, like you're still making money. If you can't figure out how to make house hacking make money, please talk to me because like I don't know. I'd be willing to bet that I could figure something out for you, and I would love to help do that because like if you think you can't make it work, there's almost always a way. But you have to look at it from like I'm paying $2,000 in rent now. If I go house hack, I can maybe I'm paying $1,000 towards my mortgage because I'm not able to cover it because rates are 8%. Guess what? You just saved yourself $1,000 a month. You're still paying. You're still coming out of pocket, but you were paying $2,000 before. Now you're only paying $1,000.
Yeah.
So I think there are very few cases in which you cannot figure out how to house hack and have it be one of the highest return activities that you could possibly do from an investment standpoint.
Yeah, that is awesome. I love it. House hacking's great. All right. Where can people find more about you or reach out to you if they want to contact you?
Yeah. Trying to be pretty active on Instagram. I would say that's where I post like most of the hopefully educational or helpful stuff.
The Dean of Wealth.
At the Dean of Wealth. Yep.
New name.
New name. That's right. Recently changed. Other than that, Dean at 18alphainvesting.com. Website 18alphainvesting.com. Or look me up on LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever.
Is that alpha spelled out or alpha 18A and you're saying it phonetic?
18 ALPHA investing.com.
Boom.
Yep. Thank you for the clarification.
I don't know what that was a mic drop about, but dropping a pen drop.
Dropping a pen.
Well, thank you for coming on today.
Dude,
and
thanks for having me.
Making
This was
me
fun.
buy my second mic, and actually that's the new one, second mic and set up so that I can record in person.
Yeah. No, this was a blast. I appreciate it. It's always a lot of fun pontificating with you, and hopefully this wasn't too disjointed for folks. I know we got off on a lot of topics, but hopefully it was interesting.
That's
And
kind of
hopefully
how the show
useful.
rolls.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'd be good. No,
Cool, man.
it's good. If you liked this video, do absolutely nothing. Do not smash the like button. Do not comment down below. Do not share it with your friends. And definitely don't reach out to Dean because any of those might actually help you achieve your goals, and we don't want that. We want to stay above you.
Nailed it.
That's the worst sign off ever. Have a great day.